Well, everybody, thank you for attending this afternoon after coming back from vacation and giving the time. But there are several of us on here that to help out with any questions that you guys might have with Senate Bill 13. I know Jamie and KRPA has received some calls about Senate Bill 13, not quite understanding, and we are here to kind of help you guys maybe walk you through it or what we need to do with that. Jamie, can you put that question up that you had for us? Is there any way you can put that up? So we have received questions already, and we'll kind of talk about that. And then from that point on, feel free to ask any questions that you might have. Got it? Okay, the question was, can the resolution to exceed the revenue neutral rate be, I lost it. It went away. Oh, there it is, okay. Revenue neutral rate be passed, approved at the same meeting as certifying the budget, which would also be held the same day as the revenue neutral rate hearing and budget hearing. Basically, if any of you guys attended that budget workshop in Derby back in April, that's one of the questions I asked the gal from the state of Kansas, if we can do those all at once. Of course, you have to still in your board meeting have to approve your budget as well as approve a resolution for the revenue neutral rate before you can certify your budget in those meetings. But they can be in the same meeting. Just be prepared if you do have citizens in that meeting that your board may not take action that meeting, but they can sure do that if they choose to.
That's for publication, correct?
Well, you approve your budget and you can approve your revenue neutral rate, right, but have the actual budget hearing and the revenue neutral rate hearing in the same meeting.
Yes.
And in that particular meeting, if you choose to, you can certify your budget in that meeting as well. So just like we've done in the past, you know, I don't know if everybody's done this in the past, but when we had our budget hearing, which we never have anybody show up for our budget hearing, that we went ahead and certified our budgets during that same meeting as well. So that, remember when we were in Derby, I asked her that same particular question, and she said that she didn't see any issues or problems with doing that all in the same meeting as well.
And I talked to our county clerk and she said the same thing. You know, we can do it all at the same budget hearing.
Brian, I agree it's the same. You can do it at the same meeting, but I believe you have to hold two separate public hearings. One for the revenue neutral rate. So you just would open a public hearing. If any public wants to speak, they speak, close it. Then on the certification of your budget, you open another public hearing. Right, so it's a technicality. It's the same meeting, but you got to hold. If I understand it right,
that's correct. Yes, I'm sorry, I didn't go into that detailed of it, but you can do it in the same meeting. You're right. You have to have your budget hearing as one topic, and then your revenue neutral rate as a second topic. I kind of left that out.
No, open the meeting, close the meeting. Open the meeting, close. So
that's correct. That's correct. So it'll be two different line items, I guess, in your agenda to do that. And then, of course, in your budget process down at the end, approval, then you can certify if you choose to. Now, if your board does not choose to, they may choose a different meeting if you have public and balk it or question it.
Do you think there's a certain order we have to do those hearings in?
No. I would, in my opinion, I think you just have them in a line in your budget or in your agenda, and you just go down your agenda line item.
I agree that it probably doesn't matter, but I would err on holding the revenue neutral first because that will dictate if for some
Yeah.
reason that's a vote goes the wrong way, then that's going to affect the certification of your budget. So I would, the way I plan on doing it, first thing on that meeting will be the revenue neutral public hearing. Then we'll go into the budget certificate or the budget public hearing, and then we'll go into our regular meeting to adopt the budget. If those two public hearings go well the first time. Yep.
Right. Now, one thing I might mention, those of you who basically budget the same mill levy every year, if you're going to continue to do it in 2021, you're most likely going to break the revenue neutral rate. So like in the past, if you've budgeted 4 mills in this next fiscal year, if you're continuing to budget 4 mills, I would say in majority of our situations, you're going to break that revenue neutral rate. We will be receiving our county clerk by June 15th. He will be distributing what your assessed valuation and your revenue neutral rate is going to be for that year. So you will know here within the next couple of weeks if you're going to break that revenue neutral rate.
All right, real quick, I'm going to run through this presentation I gave my board because it basically spells anything out. And if you have any questions after this, because it's set up in such a way, go ahead and ask it. So I'm going to go ahead and figure out how to do this. All right, share screen.
While you're setting that up, I'm just going to also finish on that question too, but the question asked is that she asked about the resolution and needs to be passed prior. Well, I lost it, Tom, when you did that.
Did I lose it?
Anyway, you do need to approve a resolution before your revenue neutral rate hearing though. So, so the month prior to the revenue neutral rate hearing, it needs to be approved.
All right, is this showing?
Yes.
Okay. I went through this briefly, during at Derby, but this is last year's mill levy estimation or valuation of the school district. It's the estimate that comes in on June 15th. And remember, this is the estimate. So when we're looking at this, remember that because the actual certified valuation does not come in until November. All right. And I wonder if this is working. All right. Okay, I'm not going to run. This is for my board. I'm just going to let you read it and move on.
For some reason, Tom, it's cutting off. I'm not seeing the whole thing.
You're not.
Mm-mm.
Oh, hell.
Is that happening to everybody else?
Anybody there?
This is Brian Spring Hill. I can see it.
All
Seems
right.
to be coming through full view.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, I can see it too.
All right. You need to notify the county clerk by July 20th. All right. That's key. You can't do this until, by July 20th. And then you have to go ahead and place the revenue neutral hearing, and we'll do the budget hearing by September 10th or 10 days beforehand. We have from August 20th to September 20th to notify. Well, I'll go through it all. Okay. And then we have to have those hearings done by September 20th. Okay. And we have to adopt a resolution by September 20th, which my board has already done. And then go through the process here, adopt a budget. And then by October 1st, you have to have it to your school district or county clerk. Okay, in Tony's case, I'm sure it'd be the city. All right, now, then I gave him a definition of what is the revenue neutral rate. It's the same property tax revenue in dollars from the previous year. Okay, remember that was certified in November. So, all right, go. Come on. Okay, that first document that you get in June, by June 15th, will have the R&R on it, and Brian's already mentioned that. Okay, and this is very important because if you don't do it, there'll be refunds given. And the county treasurer is a friend of mine, and she wouldn't like to do all that. Okay, now, in 2021, our mill was estimated at 212,000. By November, it was certified at 209,000, which is a drop of 1%. So don't use your estimate, use the actual, and that actual, okay, and let's say this year in 2022, our mill comes in at 214, which is a 2% increase, which is what's going to happen. Matter of fact, I've heard estimates of 5 to 6% increase over last year. We have a couple of big industries in town where their equipment, and one is property coming online for taxation, and the other one is on equipment. So and plus housing prices are going nuts. I got my tax statement. So, but that will probably be the revenue neutral rate, that 209,000, based on what your mill levy was, your valuation was in November. All right, come on. All right, and this is how you calculate it. Okay, it's something very simple. What 8 mills would have drawn on $209,000, and let's just say, you know, our new mill levy rate is 214,000. So if you take that total valuation, that mill levy divided by the valuation of it for 8 mills, will give, it basically comes out to 7.84 mills. Okay, so it's under the what we were gotten at 8 mills. So it's just a basic math problem there to figure it out.
One thing, Tom, too, is that you need to make sure you add in your employee benefit fund in that as well.
Yes, that's true. You got to do that also. This is just general fund.
Yeah, so when you do your total mills, like Tom's 8 mills is his general fund. So he will have to add his employee benefit fund in there to get the total mills.
Right. Okay, this is our last year. I do this every year for the board to give them a timeline on our budget and everything. And this would have been if we did not exceed the R&R, but we decided to go ahead. This is all scrapped now because we used to take care of our budget hearing, our regular board meeting, and to approve our final budget by would have been July 19th. Now, because of that, we decided to exceed the R&R. This is our new timeline that we have put together, and I'll just let you look that over. As you can see, everything's been pushed back a month.
Jesse? Can I ask you a favor? Would you?
And I have on August 23rd, I do have the R&R budget hearing and the budget hearing as separate items. They're just going to be separate agendas for each one of those. I don't included on our regular monthly board meeting. So we'll open the meeting, we'll close the meeting, we'll open up the next meeting because we have a lot of people flocking to our budget hearing. No, but we'll just close that meeting down and then go right into our regular August board meeting and approve the final budget. And then since our board treasurer is sitting right there from the school district, I just hand him a copy of it. He has already factored us in anyway for the full 8 mils and 1.64 mils for our employee benefit fund. All I do is I make 2 copies. I take them over to the county clerk's office, and I also email her a PDF of that final certificate that we usually do every year for our budget. So, all right, I gotta figure out how to get out of this now. Stop share. Oh, yes, this is what our county clerk wanted us to do when I talked to her. We amended our last board meeting. The board wanted to vote to exceed the R&R. All she wanted was a letter. That's all she needed. Now this is a letter. I have our chairman and our vice chairman sign it. It's sitting here waiting for the official notification from her on it. And I'll send it over there with it. And I'm also including a copy of the board minutes. All right. So, when they pass something, that's basically a resolution. You don't have to have a formal document or anything like that. As long as you say that you exceeded it, and a copy of your minutes, which I'm throwing in there, that's all she requires. And she didn't even require the minutes, just this letter. Now I got to figure out how to get out of this thing.
Tom, I think that it may even depend on your county, because I asked the same
Yeah.
question, and here in Sedgwick County, it's acceptable just to send an email.
Good.
So we wouldn't even have to go to this extent, but she did indicate though that they would be sending more information along with the June 15th revenue neutral rate information. So all that will come at that time, but anyway, it may depend on your county. So
have many of you talked to your county clerks yet?
I was waiting to talk to you guys first to see what you guys had said. But so the letter you just showed, that is purely for the July 20th giving notice to the county clerk. That's what that is for, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, yeah, so you have to have that to them before the July 20th date,
Right.
so that they have everybody that they're going to do.
And then see, they'll put together all the subdivisions within the county and show which district or political subdivision will be exceeding the R&R. So they have to have time to be able to put that in and publicize it. And that's something that, how they're going to handle that, I don't know. I mean, are they going to have to mail out notifications to everybody in the school district or the county? I mean,
We've got information. They're not doing that this year.
Exactly.
Not this
I
year,
don't think
but
they're
next
not
year they
actually
will.
doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, next year they have to. So I think this is a practice run they're looking through to make sure everybody knows what they're supposed to be doing.
So Tom, you didn't put in there when your meeting would be. You will get that to them at a later date,
Which meeting?
your R&R meeting.
Yeah, I've set that date for, hang on a second. Of course, I closed out of it. All right, I set that date. It's already been set for August 23rd, because you have to have your R&R budget hearing between August 20th and September 20th. So I'm
Correct,
doing,
but did you have to in that letter, you didn't state when that date was. Do you have to get that to them?
Yes, I'm sending this over to our budget schedule to them.
Yes, because they will need to know that
Yeah.
date, because
Yeah.
I know they're not sending that flyer, whatever it is, out this year, but in the future, on that flyer will include the date of your R&R meeting.
Yeah.
So that way the taxpayer can have whatever it is, whether it's a flyer or whatever it might be, they will have a list of everybody that's exceeding the revenue neutral rate, and it'll have the dates of when everybody's R&R hearings will be, so that they can have it just on one publication, basically. And I'm sure every county is going to be totally different than each other. So any other questions? Anybody have questions? I mean, we're here. Tom's here to answer any questions you might have.
No, we got Chris and Tony too.
What other questions you guys have? I know this is new. It's moving our dates back. But like I would recommend everybody just will probably be breaking their revenue neutral rate this year, if you keep your mill levy the same as you have in the past.
Now, there is one good thing. Before we certify our final budget, we will have the prior years, all the prior years figures in the budget. So when we do that budget, so that is one
Right.
good thing.
So just double checking on the resolution to pass the R or exceed the R&R. That is basically an additional resolution that is required this year that can be done in conjunction with certifying the budget after you've gone through all the proper hearing processes. Is that correct?
Well, once
Sound right?
again, in your meeting, in your regular board meetings where you are approving, let me see the date real quick. You will have in a month prior that your board will have to approve a resolution to exceed the R&R
Right.
and whatever. And then in that resolution, you will state when that R&R hearing will be. Okay. So then in your R&R meeting in whatever, in August or whatever your hearing is, then your board, if anybody shows up, they have to listen to the citizens block or whatever they might do. Then they can either approve the R&R at that time or take whatever the citizens have and move it to the next meeting.
Right.
That makes sense?
I think so. God.
Help me, guys. What did I?
Now
Yeah.
you got okay, not
Because
certified budget.
I'm looking at the state's timeline, and in that August 20th to October 1st, it's like the second to last thing on the timeline. Governing body passes resolution to exceed R&R if applicable and formally adopts budget, which to me we would do in the same night as all those other items. But it seems like that's intended to be done earlier, at an earlier month, which I think, Brian, is what you're trying to tell me, that should be done. So say we're planning to do all of our hearings and formal budget certification in September, that we should pass this resolution in June or July saying we're intending to go past the R&R rate.
Okay. So we will probably, here at the Newton Rec, we will probably approve our budget for publication and to exceed the R&R in our meeting in July, okay? Which will probably be July 15th, okay? So we're going to schedule all those. So then we will get that we're exceeding the R&R to our county clerk by the 16th, which we have to get it by the 16th. So then, of course, then we got to publish it in the paper that we're publish our budget and the notice to exceed the R&R, okay? Then in our meeting, this is what we're planning on doing. In our meeting on August 24th, because that's in between August 20th and September 20th, August 24th, at our board meeting, we're going to have the R&R and our budget hearing in that same meeting, okay, in August. Most likely, we will also in that same meeting certify our budget. Then that next day, I will take my certified budget to our county clerk and school district. Does that make sense?
Yep, that's the timeline I'm thinking of as well.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure I was thinking the same
Yeah.
thing that you are.
Yeah, you just have to make sure that you do your R&R and budget hearing between August 20th and September 20th.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the only thing that you're required to do in that timeline. And, you know, one of the things that I know Jamie just posted up, that the state has their recommission budget presentation on the website. But one of the things she told us too is that with our R&R and budget hearing, we can use the same form. It's just that we have to go at the top where it's in the past, it said notice of budget hearing. Then also we can put below that and put notice of our revenue neutral rate exceeding our revenue neutral rate. And she told us that we could do that on the same form when we send that to the newspaper to publicize it.
Yeah.
Okay. You just might have to edit. You might have to edit your form to include both the budget hearing and the revenue neutral rate hearing.
Have they done that yet on?
I haven't gone on yet to see if they've done that yet or not, but I've already went on mine and edited it to include that.
Okay.
Chris or Tony, any questions or comments on that? Okay.
Guess not.
And I think eventually the state of Kansas will post the forms on their website, because I know she made a comment at the Derby workshop that they will eventually post those. And I haven't been on there in a while to see if they have posted those yet. But like I said, Jamie put in the chat that this was their presentation. Yeah, it's just a presentation. It's not an update on their form. So, okay.
Tom, did you say you already brought a resolution to your board?
They, as soon as I got done explaining, we'll come back next month. And they said, why can't we do it right now? And I said, why not? So we went ahead and amended the agenda and voted on it.
And see, yeah, and we already know we're going to exceed ours because we just passed a bond issue about 3 months ago to increase our mill levy 0.4 of a mil. So we're going to exceed it already too. I haven't taken it to the board for them to approve it yet, but I know we're going to exceed it.
What was the basis that you knew you were going to exceed it? You haven't seen the number yet, correct?
I'm sorry, Steve, you were cutting out.
I got to get closer.
Okay.
How did you know that you were going to exceed it? You haven't actually gotten the number yet, have you?
Well, no, but we're going to increase our mill levy by 0.4 of a mil. I already know that because we're taking on more debt.
But I'm speaking of Tom in particular. You're already knowing that you're going to exceed that, but you haven't gotten the number yet.
Right. But whatever it is, when the number comes out, we're going to exceed it. That's basically what their thoughts were. because we have a lot of capital, outdoor capital projects, and construction costs are not going down anytime soon. We're gonna need as much revenue as possible. So
And-
that was their thought.
Yeah, and Steve, on Tom's budget too, is he has a 8 mil cap, and every year they just budget 8 mils. So if they have any assessed value, if the increase in their assessed valuation, he's going to exceed that. So, and for those departments that keep their mill levy the same, I would say 9 times out of 10, you're going to exceed that revenue neutral rate. Does that make sense?
That makes sense, but I mean,
Okay,
we still haven't gotten the dollar amount yet.
No,
And that's where I think if I were bringing that to my board, I think they'd struggle with that
Yeah.
we don't have a dollar amount yet, and yet
Yeah.
we're already exceeding.
yeah, and
or
I haven't
voting to
taken,
exceed that.
and I haven't taken nothing to my board yet because I want to wait till I get that assessed valuation data here in the next couple of weeks.
all right, I did go online. It is, the revenue neutral rate is on the publication page. So,
On the state of Kansas?
yes.
Okay. What's that website, Tom, for everybody to know?
All right, hang on.
Can you just share it in the chat, please?
All right, it just downloads, so.
Kansas.org, is that what municipal
Yeah, I
services?
just looked it up. Hang on. Where's the chat? Here we go. There it is. And it's about halfway down the page on the Recreation Commission workbooks.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions? Here's your opportunity. Please throw out whatever questions you might have.
It's under the summary tab, just to let you know, under blue. Yours shows up that way.
All right, well, no other questions. I think, Jamie, we're probably finished up with it, unless you have questions. But if you guys have questions, don't hesitate to call Tom. But we're here.
So I
we're
know
here
they
to
touched
help.
on it I know they touched at it at the summit, but if there are people that come to the R&R and disagree, it's just like your regular budget hearing. You don't have to do anything, correct?
Right, that's correct. Yeah, and I don't know what it's going to be like with these R&R meetings, but we've never had anybody come to our budget hearings and stuff. I think Steve in Blue Valley always, you guys have quite a few people come to your meeting, don't know? So, I don't know that it'll affect rec commissions as much as it does cities and school districts, but you never know. But I would imagine it'll be like it's been in the past, where it's just kind of a line item in your agenda and you pass through it. So
I think that may be true to some degree, but going forward, when this publication comes out to everyone, if the Recreation Commission is the only jurisdiction in all that they're sending that is exceeding the R&R, I think that may invite more people out.
yeah. One thing I might also throw out to you guys, you cannot have the same meeting time as another agency. So if you're doing it in the evening at say 7 o'clock and your school board's doing it at 7 o'clock, you can't do that. You got to all kind of, and your county clerk will probably let you know that you guys got to adjust your time. I think they can't even be on the same night. They can be like, one could be in the morning, one in the evening, but they can't be in the same evenings together. So you might keep that in mind when you set your dates.
But you have to remember, there are a lot of political subdivisions out there that the county's going to have to deal with.
Yeah, that's right.
We're just one of many,
That's right.
and we're small potatoes.
That'd be interesting, Steve, in Johnson County, when you got so many agencies, how you get around that, not having a meeting on the same night as everybody else. You know,
Well, that is going to be curious, and even the jurisdictional lines, because
right.
we've got several school districts.
Yeah.
Plus cities, plus fire districts, library districts, cemetery districts.
Yeah, yeah.
County clerks have a nightmare coming.
Yeah.
Because in your situation, that'd be very tough to not have one on the same night or same evening or whatever as somebody else.
I guess
All right.
first one in wins.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. Well, no other questions. Jamie, thank you for putting this together. And once again, if you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to holler at one of us. We'll be glad to help you. I know it's new and challenging for us, but let's just make sure we're doing it right. Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
See ya.
See ya. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.